All right, top of the morning. So today's job is what I have to do is machine one of these up. So I've already drawn up my little sketch there. So that's the internal details, that's the outside diameter. So we're going to machine it out of LG2 bronze. So we're already set up there, clean the back edge up. On a new angle, well, I'm trying a new angle with the DJI camera, and hopefully he doesn't die because he's right on top of the action. But anyway, here we go. Might help if I put it in gear. Hopefully this time as well, you'll be able to see what's going on the Instagram camera. Wow, I think I just stopped that. Let's start that again. Yeah, so hopefully you'll be able to see these numbers up here. And then hopefully that makes a little bit more sense for you as well. So anyway, here we go. So at the moment, I just want to rough it out a bit. And then hopefully we can talk you through what's going on. So we've got a 0 there now. We'll come down to 2 or 1 because it's just habit. So we're kind of 0 there. I'll 0 the OD because then once I finish this cut, I can take a measurement and that'll get that one. Sorry, I picked up a heap of swarf. Yow! Go, baby. So the length, like I say, the length is about 60 mil. So hopefully we'll stop it at about, I don't know, 70 or something. That'll give me a bit to machine off. And we'll stop about there because I'm getting roosted by fucking swarf. All right, so we'll just take a quick measurement. How you hanging in there, bro? Yeah, no, nothing stuck to him, so you can see, I don't know if you can see on the, oh you can, look at that. So it's measuring about 205, it's probably not, it's probably somewhere around there, but anyway, we'll set that for 205. Now we know that the OD is going to be, it's supposed to be about 184.92 or something. So if we get it down somewhere near there, I might slow that down a little bit, otherwise it's going to roost me like you wouldn't believe. I'll leave the feed where it is, and then hopefully that's all under control a bit. There'll be a ton of people in the comments going, well, it wasn't last time, so maybe there's not going to be, going, oh, you should put a piece of tin over it so it captures it. Well, I can't be bothered. Yeah, probably just rather get roosted. Of course, we can do that as well. Ouch. Not doing that. Ouch. Not doing that either. We'll just let it go. So it's taken about a 2.5 mil cut. I can probably boost her up a bit more than that. Might try a 4 mil cut next time. See what happens. As you can see, it is hanging out of the lathe a little bit. It shouldn't be too bad. Holy freaking cool. Getting absolutely freaking slaughtered here. I was at 6. So we'll go down to, we'll get a 4? Doubt it. Just gonna try, shall we? Let's just back that off just a touch. Oh yeah, that'll get me down to 188. One of the things you do have to be a little bit careful with when you're machining bronze is that it takes on heat. A bit like aluminium, it takes on heat really bad. And if you're trying to finish your job and it's hot, then it will change your dimensions, you know, wildly. especially on a big part like this. Like this part's going to be about 185 mil OD and about 135 mil on the ID, so it's quite a big part. And so if you try and finish it off hot, yeah, you can change those dimensions, you know, nearly 0.1. And so it comes out of the lathe and you think everything's sweet. And then you go to put it back together, you know, a day later or something when it's cooled right off, and all of a sudden it's loose and it doesn't fit, and you're scratching your head as to why, and that'll be why. Okay, now we'll go to tool 2. So that's going to be my inside my boring bar. Set that 0. And then we'll do the same here there. We'll just take a cut so that we can get our inside one. Yeah. People probably won't believe me, but the surface of these bronze kind of, when they first come out of that cast surface, is hard as crap. It's like friggin' diamond. Alright, let's get a measurement. So we're at about, I'm going to call that 123 or something. And so that needs to go out to about 135. So we'll aim about 132, and then we can make some plans from there. So we'll go, I don't know, try a 3 mil cut. Is that going to work? Yeah, beautiful. At least I'm not getting roosted anymore. Let's just have a quick look, see what that measures up at. Like I say, we're just roughing this out anyway. So yeah, it's a scudge over 130. So that'll do it. So we'll aim for about 133 here. That should give us about 2 mil to clean up. Okay, son. Alright, pause that. Take those off. So our OD is about 188. It's supposed to be 185, so about 3 mil there. And we are at about 133, and it's supposed to be 135, so we've got about 2 mil to come there. So that's perfect. So what I might do is, it's 10 to 7, so I might just pause everything for a bit and then come back after I've said g'day to everyone. Okay, well, we're back again. It's a couple of days later, but anyway, let's get this thing finished off. So if you remember from the last video where we just finished, that's what we're making. That's what we're making, that's my drawing anyway. And we were pretty much roughed out. So it's not too bad actually that where we are. So material's nice and cool. So we should be able to get it dialed in pretty quick. So I've got 2 mil to come off the inside. So we'll look up there and it should be around about 133 mil on the diameter here. If nothing's moved and nothing's changed, yeah, so reasonably close. So we'll leave that there and just go to, I don't know, 2 mil divided by, we've got to go to 135.06 we want to end up at. So we've got about 2 mil to come off. We'll do it in 3 cuts, so we'll go about 0.7 a cut or something like that and see where we end up. We'll just double check our measurement there. Make sure it's still somewhere around about where it should be. And we are at, so it was out 0.1, so we're actually cutting at about 133.81-ish. So we'll change that. Let's probably just Okay, so we've got 1.2 left to get to our dimension, so 1.25 anyway. So we'll go 62 on this, so that'll be about there somewhere. We'll split on a bit, hopefully it doesn't sing. It's not. This looks like it's probably a little bit better. Go down there and look at it there. Let's check it out a little bit. There he is in the firing line, that little dude. So we're looking at 134.77. That's what we're looking for. Anyway, hopefully it's there. We're at 137.5, so we're like 0.015 under that. So I'm just going to leave that there. We'll aim for about 135.06. So we'll just go into 135.07 or something. And we should be pretty close. Test. Has he passed or has he failed? So we're about, I don't know whether you can see that. We are about 0.01 undersized. So by the time I give that a little rub and a bit of a polish and how you going, I think we'll be pretty good. So next step, let's get our internal grooving tool set up. Internal grooving is a bit of a pain because it's so hard to measure accurately. Okay, so you can see that our first groove, so there's this is just in cross section. I hope that makes sense. So this is just cross section of the gland. So you can see there's our dimension that we just shot for, 135.06. We ended up at 0.5, so neither here nor there. So you can see that the first groove is 16 mil in from the edge, and we've got to get it to 150.2. Now the width, if I remember correctly, is, must be on the old sheet, wherever that is. Oh, there it is, under my phone, under my bloody phone. So that's one of the seal grooves. So the seal groove has to be 6.35 wide. That's a wear band groove. The wear band groove has to be 7.8 wide, but it only goes down to 140.2. So we're aiming for 150.2 and 140.2. Those two are both seal grooves and those two are both wear band grooves. So one of the tricks is how we're going to measure that really accurately. Well, we can measure it after we've done it. If you fuck it up, that's a bit of a problem. So there are tools like these, where they have these little pins in the end. They have the pin in the end, and so what you can do is zero that tool like that. Now that one's not zeroed, is it? I don't know, I'm trying to do it one hand, so I can't really tell. It's not zeroed, so that would be zeroed now. So we push that end up against there, zero that, now we're zero. So then you can see that as you push that pin out, the pin comes out and we've now got a dimension. So that's okay if you measured, you know, if you're still got more to take off of the groove. The way I like to do it is, we've got a DRO up here, so let's bloody use it. So this is how I do it. I don't know how everybody else does it, but this is how I do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rub the back corner of both of those, just to get rid of any little dirty bits, because that's going to help us set up the grooving first. So what I want to do That's just catching there, I think. So I'm going to call that. There's my 0. Now I hope you can see that that 0, where's my screen gone? There it is. That screen is from the back edge of the insert. So the insert's tucked inside there. So insert's inside there. So that means all we have to do now is, the only time we have to allow for the insert is when we're actually doing the groove. All I've got to do is come in now 16 mil. So if I go in a little bit more than 16 mil, I'm giving myself some cleanup as well. So I'm just going to go into 16.5. Now I want to slow that down a bit because I know I'm fairly good there. And the grooving tools are quite wide, so you will tend to get a bit of chatter. And I'm just going to come out here and just touch off. So there's my touch, and we know that that's 135.06. Now all I need to do, I'm still on diameter, so there's my D for diameter. So all I need to do now is, I might even just slow that down, is just come out until we get to 150. Now obviously I'm not going to go straight to 150. There's a couple of little things we can do to double check things on the way. So this is a 3 mil insert. So I know that at the moment I'm cutting a 3 mil groove, but I know that the seal groove needs to be 6.35, I think it is wide. So I may even zero this just now, I haven't decided yet. So we're just going to keep going until we get out to about a mil undersize, maybe, I don't know, somewhere around that. And then we'll kind of, I'll show you the next step that I do. Just helps me keep an eye on that initial setting that I took of 135.06. Okay, so we're out to about 149 there, which is perfect. Now I was going to zero my y-axis, but I'm not. I'm going to leave it there. And that is because if I zero that, it means I've got to recalculate all my lengths for the starting point for the next 4 grooves, and I don't want to have to do that. So all I need to do is know that if I've got a 16 mil groove, if I've got my starting point 16 mil, 16, and my groove plus is 6.35 equals 22.35, and then minus the groove, minus the insert, minus 3. So I know that all I need to do is come back and do a cut at 16 when I'm cleaning up, and then go that way until I get to 19.35, and I know that the groove's going to be the right width. Now what I like to do now is I'll go out to 19 mil, I won't go out to 19.35, I'll go out to 19, and then, so I'm now at 19, so I'm still really just roughing the groove out. Now what I'm going to do is come in again, I'm going to slowly come in and effectively just re-zero again to make sure that nothing's moved during that last cut. And so I'm definitely starting to cut there. You can hear it probably squeaking, and we're at 35.08. We were at 0.5, I think, so I think that that's pretty close to where we need to be. Kind of like a confirmation that the insert hasn't moved, or the tool post hasn't moved, or that, you know, something's going south with your number. It's kind of a confirmation that nothing's moved. You will see me every now and then put my hand on the job. What I'm doing is just checking temperature of the material to make sure that it's not heating up. When it starts heating up, you'll see me throw the coolant on. I don't use coolant a lot, especially not on bronze, but if it's starting to heat up a bit, then you'll see me put the coolant on. Sometimes when you're machining bronze, when you finish the groove, it'll start squeaking. Let's see if I can make it do it here. So I'm coming out to 149, so I'm going to stop at that same point again, 149. I don't want to come all the way out. So there, you can hear that squeaking now. That's actually chattering on the bottom of the groove. So it doesn't like sitting there. And what that chatter does is, let me see if I can show you. Can you see down in there? There. You can kind of see on that edge that we're machining on, there's a big chatter mark there. You can see it there. So there's a big chatter mark on that where that tool's just been sitting there dragging. So we don't want that to happen, especially on a seal groove. You know, we want that surface finish to be as best as we can get it. So there's a couple of ways that we can negate that chatter in the bottom. On all of these grooves, what I'm going to do is I'm going to machine this back edge here down to within about 0.3 of that dimension. So once I've come down here, I'm going to be down in here somewhere like that. And then what I'm going to do is come back to this one, but you'll see me, I'll take the backlash out of the axis so that when I come in, I'll get down to this dimension. So this one I'm going to stop early, probably 149.9. This one I'm going to go all the way to the 0.2, 150.2. And then as I'm coming up on the 0.2, I'm going to engage the crossfeed so that it effectively comes straight out and starts feeding straight away. So that it's not sitting in that groove for any time at all. Okay, so here we go. So now if you remember, the number was 19.35. So let's go 19.35. A little bit more. You always find the grooving tools will cut a little bit less than what you think they're going to cut. So there's our bottom. So now we've just got rid of all of that chatter, and we're going to stop at 149.9. See me come back on that number just a little bit, just so it doesn't drag back up that edge again. So now we're going to come back to 16, right on 16 now, we're just under. And then we'll slowly start coming in. I will double check my zero again, or my dimension I should say. So we're looking for, remember, we're looking for about 135.0 something. 6, 7. There it is. And let's just brush the corner off. And we're pretty close. I didn't see it. Notice I forgot to do that then because I'm fucking talking so much. So I've gone past my number and now I'm coming back. And so that means when I engage the cross slide, there's going to be no backlash in it. So it's not going to sit there, you know, waiting for that backlash to be eliminated, which means I'm not going to be sitting in the bottom of the groove, which means I don't get it. Hopefully I don't get any chatter. Once you kind of prove one of the grooves is working, provided you don't have to change the insert or something like that, you can pretty much do the 4 grooves trusting your DRO, or trust your DRO. You know, people don't use their DROs enough, or they touch off in between passes all the time. You shouldn't really need to do that. Once you've got a volume in it, it should be sweet. See, that'll trust the machine or trust the DRO, one of the two. So there we go, now we're cutting again. I'm going to slow my feed down just a little bit. On that, there we go. I'm probably going just a little bit too quick there now. Hopefully that's dragging on the front edge and not the back edge. And so the back edge will be cleaning it up as we go through. So now we want to stop at 19.35. Dear machinist, they said. And that sounds not too bad. So I probably could have dropped that speed down a little bit. There's a tiny little bit of chatter in the bottom, but we should be able to polish that out. Okay, so if you haven't already worked out, obviously the audio sounds a little bit different, and that will be because the audio for the last 20 minutes has been fairly secondhand, and in this part of the video, it's unusable. So I'm having to do this voiceover style. So if you remember from the drawing, the first groove, which is already done, is at 16 millimeters. The second groove, which in this video is done as well, I think. I'm on to the third groove at the moment, and the fourth groove hasn't been started yet. So you can see that the dimension on the y-axis is 37.45, and I'm in the process. This is the second seal groove. So if you remember, the seal grooves are 150.2 diameter. So if you watch the x-axis, I'm actually coming out now, and I'll stop at about 149.5 or something like that. And then I'll move over the width of the groove, which is 6.35. I'll probably move over 6 mil, rough the groove out, and then I'll come back and finish it. Now the point of doing this, re-recording this audio, is there was an important learning, if you like, from this part of the video. And the video was, if you remembered from my drawing again, all of the dimensions were starting at the datum edge, or some datum edge, and they were all measured to the same side of the groove. So that's why that y-axis kind of you don't zero it, you're not using the y-axis to measure each groove. You're using the y-axis to give you a position from the front edge of the gland into the position of the groove. And the other important thing that I'm doing is, if you watch the videos, you'll see that when I'm cutting a new part of the groove, every time I come out and touch off on the inside of the gland, I'm just confirming that I'm still somewhere around about that 135.06, that number that I keep talking about all the time. And if you confirm that your tool or your insert is always cutting roughly the same as that, you absolutely cannot go wrong. So you can see in this part of the video, I'm cleaning up the back edge of the third groove, which is a seal groove. I'm at 145, 146, 147. That's fantastic, thanks for that. So there's 149.5, and I'm gonna stop at about 0.9, 149.9. And now what I'm gonna do is come back to my 37, so I'm at 37 there, and I'm now going to come in and do the cleanup cut. So I'm now at 140, 41, 42, and if you saw, I actually took the backlash out of the y-axis, and so now I'm going to be at around about 150.2, and I'll engage the feed and clean that base up in the same cut. And feed will come on around about now, there you go, and it's now going to run out until I get to whatever the dimension is. I think it's 40.35. There you go. Jeez, how good's that? And so that's the important part. So anyway, and now we're on to the fourth groove. Now we'll just buzz the OD back down again, whack chamfer on it, put a groove on it, and we're done. Oh, well, I'll have to part it off. There you go, Bowtown. Look at that. Ooh, battery's getting flat. Jeez. Now! Oh, I'm getting roosted. Looks like it's about 186.52. So, I probably don't need to. Alright, let's change it. 186.52. Let's use the fucking DR. So now we want to end up at about 184.95, I reckon. So if we end up at 184.95, I'll be pretty happy. So let's go into about 7.2. That'll leave us around about the same kind of cut that we taken this time to finish off. This is my U-Butte 30-degree tool, so we'll just throw that there. So if we do our same little trick again, this will be a new tool, so we'll just go to 4. It just means if we ever have to go back to any of these numbers, they're still there. That's close enough for me. So we'll call that 0 there. And so what we want on that OD is 184.9. That'll be a bit better. So we're going to go to 176.2, so we're going to 177. That's better. So I'm happy with that. We'll knock a corner on that. Now before we do that, what I'm going to do is, the overall width dimension of this is 60 mil. Now one of the things I like to do, thousands won't, but I do, is we'll just double check that we're pretty close there, which we are. So I'm 60 mil wide, so the width of the gland is 60 mil wide. So this tool is actually quite robust, meaning if I give myself like a datum point here at 60.4, when I part this off, I can come back and dial off this, what I'm parting off here. So when I come back and part off, I'll probably use 61 or something like that. But where I'm machining here now on this back edge here, I don't know if you can see that, but where I'm parting off on this back edge here is going to be true. It's going to be true that way. You can see that ruler, and that means it means I've got a second edge. So it means I can dial off this OD and I can dial off that face there to make sure that not only is the OD not doing, that in the camera, it's also not doing that when we set up. So it just gives me a second option just to check. I've seen plenty of those ones where they end up, not square anymore. All batteries going red. Well, it's happened again. I didn't start up again, so luckily I caught it fairly early. So I've got a groove. Let me just explain what I didn't tell you because I didn't record. So there you can see the rulers on the edge of the groove that I cut in the previous video. So this edge facing back this way is going to be the edge that I use to make sure that the part, when I flip it, because I'm going to have to flip it, to make sure that I'm square that way and make sure that I'm not doing that in the vise as well. Obviously that's exaggerated. So I've moved my parting off tool over quite a bit and I've got like a 2 mil gland there and now I'm parting it off. So that's all that you missed by me not recording. Hopefully everything else is still recording. Looks like it is. Yeah, hey, that can be like catch guys when something's gonna part off. You're gonna die! There we go. Lovely. Okay, so the final audio that I've got to record for you is just me finishing up the gland. You can see that I had to take a little cut off the inside just to relieve that. I'm now just breaking the corners. But the best thing about where we are now is it's freaking finished. So the gland is finished, and most importantly, this video is finished because it has been freaking painful, man. So anyway, I tip my hat to my social media manager because how she puts up with me and my incompetence, I got no idea. But anyway, Trent is not coming out. There you go. You can just finish it there. Oh no, don't do that, eh? Oh, it's nearly finished, eh?
You're done. Shit. Thanks, Richard.